Hi YouTube, this is Angie the Anti-Theist. Today I want to talk about a couple different bad ideas I've had over the years. Really the main reason I embrace skepticism so much now that I have stumbled across it is because I am gullible. Humans are, but I think I might be a special case. I, grew up in a cult, and I think there are ways in which I was conditioned, even beyond our biological imperative to, learn things from adults and, listen to them for survival as small children. And, we are followers to some degree innately. I think though, I don't know, I just could get, I used to be able to get conned by anything. And so I was a Shackley sales rep, which means I paid $30 to get access to try to sell a bunch of supplements nobody wanted in the first place. Think Mary Kay, but with crappy products. I've, joined CD clubs. I've joined gym memberships that were a really bad deal. I've, obviously had some, maybe common things. And then I guess 3 specific bad ideas that I've bought into I want to touch on. This is my Bible. We all know why I think this is a bad idea and that it's one I'm glad I got over. But on the, less specifically religious part of skepticism, natural cures they don't want you to know about. I do think growing up in a faith healing cult and being constantly told boogeyman stories about doctors. I mean, I was told that, surgeons were committing pagan sacrifices, and that, the surgical table was an altar. So, even when I, was getting progressively more normal and more sane, I still have some trepidation and fear associated with doctors. I mean, they were the boogeyman of my childhood. When I was 9 and she was 11, my sister got into a bad bicycle accident and fractured her skull. And it was the day we had moved to Iowa, away from my grandmother. And, by the time I got back from, biking home to tell my mom, the ambulance was there, and my mom didn't resist them taking her to the hospital because I think she knew that they would take her at that point. But that, horribly distressed me and my sister. She was all half concussed on the ground, taking swings at the paramedics, screaming, "Get behind me, Satan." It was some scary shit. So, as a, more liberal Christian and, young parent and, other things, as I started to accept some of medicine, physical therapy and chiropractic and things like that, I think I came in more from the natural cures side of things first. I know I felt less guilt about eating an aspirin or white willow bark than I did about, taking prescription medication for whatever reason. So I bought into that, and there are some natural cures that work. Peppermint is good for an upset stomach. Chamomile is good for sleeping. You cannot use homeopathic, water does not have memory, all this nonsense. I mean, look at things skeptically. Look at an individual claim, like, the juice of a certain berry, and compare it with reality. Don't just read the sales hype. I mean, that's the thing that like drives me crazy now. Kevin Trudeau, the guy who wrote, cures they don't want you to know about, he's not some, Robin Hood pioneer for the little guy, making sure that we all, have access to good. No, he's a fucking salesman and a convicted con. Yeah, so that's part of skepticism too. Not just rejecting religious supernatural things, but also checking out natural claims and making sure they actually hold true within the natural world. A spiritual but not religious bad idea that I believed for a while can be found in this book, Paths to Recovery, Al-Anon's Steps, Traditions, and Concepts. I got married to an alcoholic because I was pregnant and Christian, and that's what you do. And so I spent 2 years of my life sitting in Al-Anon with a whole bunch of other, pissed off wives, and griped and listened to people who were not any wiser than I was, who did not have their lives any more together than I was. I mean, there's no standards for sponsors or anything like that. I had a woman, the first woman I asked to be my sponsor, and she agreed without telling me that she was schizophrenic, which I would have liked to have known before she had an episode in the middle of a meeting. I'm not saying anything against anybody with mental illness, but I would have liked to have known. I guess, the 12 Steps are a cult. There's a absolutely fantastic paper, website, Orange Papers. It's got an amazing amount of material explaining why AA is a cult, the original cult group that it was founded off of, the Oxford group, where the 12 Steps originally came from, all kinds of things. So it's a fantastic resource. I recommend it. But in addition to growing up in a cult, I made a bunch of bad financial decisions. I made a lot of bad health decisions and, again, financial decisions. And I made a lot of really, really bad life decisions. I mean, these people would have had me wait a lot longer than I did to leave that fucker. And it was by far one of the best things I've ever done for myself, and certainly one of the best I've ever done for my son. So, skepticism isn't just about saying I don't like religion. And just saying I don't like things isn't that productive. Finding out what's true is useful. Living life according to reality is so much simpler, and you make better choices, and better choices make for a better life. And hey, that's better than prayer any day, right? So I guess I would just recommend everybody sort of learn about propaganda techniques, learn about the rules of logic, learn about logical fallacies and arguments, fallacious arguments. Those things, have helped me to not only drop the God belief, but once I did and I started to embrace these things and learn about these things, I was able to drop a lot of other bad ideas too. So that's my video on skepticism. I hope everybody on YouTube has a great and godless and rational day. Peace, and take care of yourselves.